Beneath the serene waters of the Visayas, a silent giant slumbers. It's a force of nature that has shaped the history of these islands and holds the power to redefine their future. This is the story of the Negros Trench, a looming threat that demands our attention, and a critical question we must answer. Are the coasts of the Visayas ready for what could be an unprecedented evacuation challenge? As we head into 2025, understanding this danger isn't just a scientific exercise. It's a matter of survival for millions. The Negros Trench is not just another fault line. It is a complex and powerful subduction zone, a place where one tectonic plate is forced beneath another. Lying to the west of Negros Island, it marks the boundary where the Sunda Plate is being pushed under the Philippine Mobile Belt. This relentless geological process, happening at a rate of several centimeters per year, builds up immense stress. Unlike more famous trenches, the Negros Trench has been relatively quiet in recent recorded history, earning it the ominous title of a silent giant. This seismic gap, a long period without a major rupture, doesn't signify safety. On the contrary, seismologists believe it could mean that strain is accumulating, potentially leading to a massive earthquake when it finally releases. Looking back, the Visayas region is no stranger to the destructive power of the earth. The 1948 Leyte earthquake, an estimated magnitude 8.2 event originating from the nearby Sulu Trench, caused widespread devastation and a deadly tsunami in Panay and Negros. While not directly from the Negros Trench, this historical event serves as a stark reminder of the region's inherent seismic vulnerability. The tremors triggered landslides, liquefied the ground, and sent waves crashing into coastal towns, offering a grim preview of what a similar-sized event from the Negros Trench could unleash. The unique danger it poses today lies in its proximity to densely populated coastal areas. An earthquake originating here would leave precious little time for warning, placing a heavy burden on the resilience and preparedness of millions living directly in its path. A powerful earthquake along the Negros Trench, particularly a mega-thrust event where a vast section of the fault ruptures, would violently displace a massive volume of seawater. This sudden vertical movement of the seafloor is the primary mechanism for tsunami generation. The rupture's characteristics, such as its length, width, and the amount of slip, would determine the initial size and energy of the resulting waves. These waves would then propagate outwards, traveling across the sea at the speed of a jetliner. For the western coasts of Negros and Panay and the southern shores of Cebu and Bohol, the travel time could be terrifyingly short, mere minutes from the moment the shaking stops until the first wave makes landfall. This incredibly narrow window is the central challenge for any effective warning system. Currently, the Philippines relies on the Department of Science and Technology, Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, DOST-5OLCS, as its primary agency for monitoring and issuing tsunami warnings. 5OLCS operates a network of seismic sensors across the country designed to detect earthquakes in real time. Once a significant undersea earthquake is detected, they model its potential to generate a tsunami and issue warnings through various channels, including SMS alerts, social media, and coordination with national and local disaster management agencies. Local government units, LGUs, are then responsible for disseminating these warnings to their communities and initiating evacuation protocols. This system represents a significant step forward in the country's disaster preparedness. However, the reality of a near-field tsunami, like one from the Negros Trench, exposes the limitations of the current framework. The critical factor is time. Every second saved in detection, analysis, and dissemination can translate into thousands of lives saved. Improving this system requires not just more sensors, but better integration and faster data sharing between national agencies and local responders. Investing in advanced technologies like deep ocean buoys, dart buoys, that can detect the passage of a tsunami wave directly would provide confirmation and more accurate forecasts. The goal must be to shrink the warning time from minutes to as close to instantaneous as possible, a monumental task that requires technological innovation and unwavering political will. The gap between the tremor's end and the wave's arrival is the only time communities have to act, and making the most of it is a non-negotiable imperative. To understand the true scale of the risk, we must map the danger zones with precision. The western coastlines of Negros Occidental and Negros Oriental are on the absolute front line. Cities like Bacolod, Cabancalan, and Dumaguete, along with countless smaller coastal municipalities, face the most immediate and direct threat of inundation. Across the Guimaras Strait, the southern and western shores of Panay Island, including parts of Iloilo and Antique provinces, are also highly susceptible. Even islands further away, such as the southern tip of Cebu and parts of Bohol, could experience significant wave action depending on the tsunami's direction and local bathymetry, the underwater topography that can focus or disperse wave energy. These areas are not just lines on a map. They are vibrant communities, economic lifelines, and home to millions of people. The vulnerability of these zones is magnified by their high population density and the concentration of critical infrastructure. Major ports, power plants, airports, hospitals, and commercial centers are often situated along the coast for economic and logistical reasons. In cities like Bacolod and Iloilo, sprawling residential areas and business districts lie just meters above sea level. A major tsunami would not only threaten lives, but could also cripple the region's economy, destroying infrastructure that would take decades and billions of dollars to rebuild. The human cost is staggering to contemplate. Entire neighborhoods, from urban centers to fishing villages, are at risk of being wiped out, displacing a population equivalent to that of a small country. Compounding the threat are the immense challenges to evacuation. Many coastal communities are nestled in narrow strips of land between the sea and steep mountains, limiting the available escape routes. Existing roads are often congested and may be damaged or blocked by debris following a major earthquake. In archipelagic regions like the Visayas, some communities on smaller islands may have no high ground to retreat to, leaving them completely exposed. Bridges connecting islands or crossing rivers could be destroyed, cutting off vital escape arteries. Planning for evacuation in this context requires a frank assessment of these obstacles. It's not enough to simply tell people to move to higher ground. We must ensure that viable routes exist and that they can be accessed by everyone, including the elderly persons with disabilities and children, in a matter of minutes. Given these challenges, a one-size-fits-all evacuation plan is destined to fail. A strategic, multimodal approach is essential. For areas with limited road access or where land routes are likely to be compromised, maritime evacuation must be a core component of the strategy. Pre-designated and reinforced ports could serve as marshalling points for a flotilla of vessels, from commercial ferries to local fishing boats, to move people to safer islands or offshore to ride out the waves in deeper water. In extreme scenarios, air evacuation using helicopters could be vital for rescuing individuals from isolated areas or for deploying emergency response teams. Integrating these land, sea, and air options into a cohesive, rehearsed plan is critical to maximizing the number of people who can reach safety. This integrated approach must be tailored to the unique geography and demographics of each community. For a bustling urban center like Bacolod, the plan might focus on vertical evacuation, moving people to the upper floors of designated, structurally sound high-rise buildings, combined with organized traffic schemes to clear coastal boulevards. For a small fishing village on a low-lying island in Guimaras, the strategy might involve a rapid sea-based evacuation to a larger, higher neighboring island. In mountainous coastal areas in Antique, The focus could be on establishing and clearly marking predefined footpaths leading to high ground, ensuring these trails are maintained and accessible. Effective planning hinges on this level of local detail. The success of any evacuation plan rests squarely on the shoulders of local government units and community leaders. It is the barangay captains, the municipal disaster officers, and the local mayors who are the true first responders. Their role is to translate national directives into actionable, on-the-ground procedures. This involves conducting regular, realistic drills that simulate a real-world event, not just once a year, but frequently enough that the procedures become second nature to residents. It means establishing clear communication protocols, identifying and training community marshals, and maintaining a registry of vulnerable populations who may need assistance. When the ground shakes and the warning sounds, it will be these local leaders and the preparedness of their communities that make the difference between an orderly escape and a chaotic tragedy. Beyond immediate evacuation, building long-term resilience is the key to future-proofing the Visayas. This begins with a serious re-evaluation of infrastructure and building codes. We must invest in retrofitting critical facilities like hospitals, schools, and evacuation centers to withstand both intense ground shaking and the force of a tsunami. New construction in high-risk zones must adhere to stricter, resilient building standards, and land use planning should actively discourage further development in the most vulnerable coastal areas. This includes elevating key infrastructure, constructing seawalls and mangrove greenbelts that can dissipate wave energy, and designing tsunami-proof buildings that can serve as vertical evacuation shelters. These are long-term, costly endeavors, but they are essential investments in the region's survival. Equally important is the battle for hearts and minds. A resilient community is an informed community. Sustained public awareness and education campaigns are fundamental to empowering citizens. This means going beyond occasional drills to embed preparedness into the very fabric of daily life. Children should learn evacuation routes in school, businesses should have continuity plans, and every family should have a go bag and a clear understanding of what to do when an earthquake hits. Knowledge dispels fear and replaces it with action. When people understand the risk, recognize the natural warning signs like the sea receding, and know their designated safe zone, they are empowered to save themselves and their families. Finally, this is not a challenge the Philippines must face alone. Strengthening regional safety requires robust international cooperation and the adoption of cutting-edge technologies. Global partnerships can provide access to advanced tsunami modeling, satellite-based monitoring systems, and best practices from other tsunami-prone nations like Japan and Chile. Collaborating with international experts can help refine our early warning systems, improve our engineering standards, and enhance our capacity for large-scale disaster response. The threat posed by the Negros Trench is a shared one, and by leveraging global knowledge and technological advancements, we can build a stronger, more resilient Visayas, ready to face the future with confidence instead of fear. The giant beneath the waves may be silent for now, but our preparations must be loud, clear, and unceasing.